Sales on Demand Show, episode 13. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sales on Demand Show, where we teach you how to create, sustain, and scale up your print-on-demand business with the latest tips, guides, and information to help you start selling and making bucks today. Find us online with iTunes, Spotify, I believe we're on the Google Play Store, or directly at our website, salesondemandshow.com. And I'm your host, Adam Schneider. So, hopefully, the volume on this is good. I'm experimenting with the levels. I had a comment from a listener that he had to turn the volume way up, and that's just not good. So I've cranked up the gain on this, and hopefully it's not too distorted. So if it is, please let me know. But today, this is a vital topic, guys. You need to hear the entire episode. This is going to be extremely, extremely valuable for you. Very, very valuable for you. It might even be useful to listen to this, more than once, or read the accompanying blog post on it, just for a few more tips and hints and whatever. So today we're talking about keyword research. So this is, I can't overemphasize that this is probably one of the most important skills that you can develop if you're going to be selling print-on-demand products. And I say that because in the beginning, everybody gets this way, way wrong. So, but before we begin, I wanted to talk about a few listener questions and comments that kind of caught my eye and I just would love to address. The first question comes from, I'll just say from G. So G asks the question, is there some truth that you need to make sales before Amazon helps you make sales? And he says, then is there an advantage to get your friends and relatives to help by buying your products and basically you refund them? Or you could give them a discount code. So this is actually a really common question with Amazon, and it is definitely one of those things that when you're launching new products on Amazon, it just seems so frustrating because everybody sees that new sellers get kind of shoved to the bottom of the pile, which they do. And, there's really no other way to do it, right? I mean, you can't put new sellers on the top of the pile because the existing sellers are already there. So Amazon puts new sellers at the bottom of the pile, and you got to work your way up from there. So how do you work your way up? How do you get those first 50 sales and possibly win the buy box? Well, a lot of people believe that, if you give away something, you get friends and family to purchase products. That can work. Here's the thing, though. It's a little bit risky to have people buy products on your behalf because Amazon actually has bots or algorithms that kind of look for these patterns, and so they're looking to see, if a bunch of people buy your product from the same geographical area or the same zip code or they're related to you by last name. I don't know what kind of factors they're actually looking for, but I believe that all of those factors are in there, and it could trigger some fraud algorithms that could lead to suspensions. Technically speaking, you're not supposed to get people to buy your product, although you can give away your product. So if you're going to do something like that, make sure that you spread out the purchases amongst a few people. And to be honest with you, I don't really believe that is the most useful thing that you can do. The most useful thing that you can do to make sales on Amazon is list more items. People get to 100 items and they look and they say, well, I should have had a sale by now. But 100 listings on Amazon is really nothing. And I know that's frustrating because sometimes it can take a while to list products. But you know what? You do get faster at it as you do it, and you get better at it as you do it. So maybe in the beginning, the things that you list are basically trash. There might be 1 out of 3 that's a decent design, and maybe could sell if people saw it. But by the time you reach 2 years in, like I am, probably 4 out of 5 things that you list are decent designs. Not necessarily guaranteed either. Maybe things that I think are decent designs are not actually decent designs. There's a lot of factors that go into this, but I can tell you from experience, the most useful thing that you can do to get to those 50 sales is just keep listing things. Don't look at what's right in front of your face. Look at the long term. The long term is that I want to have like thousands and thousands of designs that people can choose from. And that's where I'm at right now. It took me a long time to get there, but I did get there. And success follows that, right? So that was one listener question. Let's see if there's any more here. Well, I don't see any more questions in my inbox, so I'll move on to the next thing. If you are Canadian, and specifically from Alberta, and more specifically from the Calgary region, I am planning to have a get-together for Calgarian Albertans to talk about print on demand. And hopefully I'd like to record some of the people's comments, thoughts, ideas, and make it into a podcast episode. Of course, I'll strip out anybody that doesn't want to be part of it, and, you know, there might be some jokes, there might be some, like, off-color dad jokes or something like that. Just something fun to get together and talk about and meet people from the local area. Because there's actually a surprising number of people that live close to me and are doing print on demand and have found me or added me on Facebook. And that's kind of cool. And I thought, well, I like meeting people in person, so might as well try and set something up. But of course, right now is a terrible time because it's still the dead of winter, or pretty much the dead of winter. Although the weather is getting a little bit better, and you can actually walk outside now, and you don't have to cover your face to avoid having your skin freeze. And that is delightful. And you know what? As a Canadian, I'll take every degree of warmth that I can get, even if it's just 0 degrees, which in Canada is the freezing point of water. I'll take it. I don't care. I just want summer to come. So that's it for that. And one last thing I got to mention: there is a course that I am creating. Yeah, I know everybody creates a course, but why not, right? I mean, I have definitely been pioneering some things with Amazon here, and I'm going to be running some very, very interesting experiments with Amazon FBA, and I want to scale my own business up. But then, if I have this knowledge and ability and I don't share it with people, it actually drives me crazy. I am the kind of person that I like to talk and I like to teach and I like to coach. It's one of the things I love to do. I probably like it more than I like selling because ultimately I'm kind of a people person, and selling e-commerce can be a very sort of isolating thing. You could sit in your room all day long in your office and stare at your computer screen and never say a single word out loud to any human being, and you can make lots of money without ever talking to anybody. And while that is delightful for some people, for me, it's kind of lonely. And I like to talk about the things that are bringing me success, even if it means that I'm sharing information with other people and they're going to compete with me. I don't care. I know what I'm doing, and I want to teach other people how to do the same thing. So there is a course coming up, guys. There's probably going to be 2 levels to it. There's going to be an introductory course and a more advanced course. And the introductory course is just going to be sort of a general thing. I'm going to compile all of the getting started guides that I created at the first few episodes of the podcast and collate them into a comprehensive guide. And then the advanced version is going to be probably close to 100 videos, maybe. Don't want to say for sure, because somebody will be like, oh, there's only 97. You said there was going to be 100. And I just can't deal with that. But it's coming up soon. It's going to take some time to put it together because, as you probably know, I have a job. And I have no intention of leaving my job, so I got to do this. This is a true side hustle for me. I mean, a lot of people talk about, side hustles. This is actually a side hustle. It's Saturday today. It's one of 2 days that I get off this weekend. And so I got to try and get things done in like 1 day a week. So keep an eye out for that. And let's get into the actual meat today. So this will probably be part of the Getting Started guide because it is such a vital part of print on demand keywords. But in the beginning, everybody gets this wrong, and there's 2 reasons that everybody gets this wrong, and I'd say 90% of it is that everybody overthinks how keywords work, or they misunderstand the importance of keywords, or they just sort of randomly throw words into a phrase, and it just doesn't work very well. So there's a lot of beginners probably listening to this, and you're experiencing pain. And there's 4 reasons that you're experiencing pain. That is the pain of not getting any sales, or not getting as many sales as you would like. So I broke this down into 4 different reasons that you're not getting any sales. Okay, so the number 1 reason that you're not getting any sales, and I don't mean that this is probably the primary reason, it's just number 1, because something has to be first. So your design is good, but your keywords are bad, or they're lacking, or they're insufficient in some way. So the second reason that you might not be getting any sales is that your keywords are good, but your design or the phrase is bad. The number 3 reason is that the phrases that you're using are too generic. So you're using keywords, you're trying to appeal to an audience where there's tons of competition. So, you walk through Walmart and you see t-shirts hanging on the rack, and, sometimes I'll take a picture of a t-shirt or a coffee cup in Walmart, and I'll be like, oh, I should create a design based around that phrase because it's funny. But the problem with those Walmart-type phrases is that they're really generic. They can appeal to everybody. And so that's everybody's go-to when they're creating designs, is they just find these sort of generic phrases that they'll just get buried in the search results. So a prime example would be funny t-shirt, or funny coffee mug, or something along the lines of, coffee mug for women. If you don't think that someone's already created a billion designs with the keyword coffee mug for women, well, go on Amazon and have a search. You'll see that there are probably a million results for that. So going after that keyword phrase, well, you potentially could sell in that. It is very unlikely that your beginning designs are going to crack that niche. And so the 4th reason that people don't make good sales in the beginning, and this is not very common, but it can happen, is that you're using phrases, or you're trying to get too specific, and there's not enough search traffic for whatever you're targeting. So I'm trying to think of an example of this. So, let's say you're going after, police academy graduates for the month of May. So that's a very specific set of people. I don't know how many people graduate from police academy and how many would be graduating in the month of May, but if you're trying to make a product that'll appeal to those people, there may not be very many people actually looking for that particular keyword, like police graduation in May. The only way that you can detect this is to do some keyword research. So I've said this before, and I will repeat myself because I like to repeat myself. And sometimes you guys need to hear the same thing said over and over before you get it. The way to get started here is to go an inch deep and a mile wide. So a lot of people will sit down and they'll do some research, and they'll be like, oh, hey, people who knit, knitters or writers or bookworms or hockey players. And they'll research like 7 or 8 different phrases, and they'll sit there and spend like 3 hours creating designs around these phrases around a very specific, thing, like hockey players or soccer players or whatever. And that is not necessarily the most productive use of your time. What you should be doing is that you should be selecting like 9 or 10 niches, and you should create 2 or 3 designs max for each niche until you find a niche that seems responsive. So if you start making a few sales in one particular niche, then start digging a little deeper. Start creating more products for that niche. You could potentially rank higher for that. But don't sit there and create 9 or 10 different designs for each niche, because it's just a waste of your time, especially in the beginning. So going back to keywords, there are 2 mistakes that people make in the beginning. And the first mistake is that they go overboard on keywords. So a lot of people, they really freak out about keywords. And they're like, well, how come nothing's selling? Maybe my keywords suck. And you know what? That could be the case. But you know where you're not going to get a lot of useful, where you're not going to make a lot of sales is to put like 86 keywords into a title. So they go overboard and they add pointless keywords that have nothing to do with the product or are only tangentially related to the design that they're selling, in hopes that maybe they can capture some sales. So an example of this, okay, let's say that you are making a design targeted to women who like to garden. And let's get even more specific. Let's target women who like to grow roses. Now this is actually something that you could do. You could create a design that talks about growing roses, and as it relates to women, because most of the men that I know don't care about growing roses. I would hazard a guess that would be a fairly women-related thing. So you might throw in keywords like gardening woman, rose grower. I don't know what you'd call someone who grows roses, but you could maybe look at a couple of different varieties of roses and throw that in the keyword. But what would not be useful is to add keywords that aren't related to growing roses, or like vegetable gardening. Throwing vegetable gardening in a design like that, not very useful. Or farmer, not very useful. I mean, there could be farmers out there who grow roses, but that's not a keyword that's going to be a primary search. So if someone's searching for farming coffee mugs and they see your coffee mug about growing roses for women, that's not going to appeal to them, because that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for a gift for a female farmer, or they're looking for a t-shirt to wear when they're outside feeding the chickens. So throwing a bunch of useless keywords that may be kind of related but not directly related, completely useless. Completely useless. Now, on the other hand, if you're talking about doctors, if you're trying to make a t-shirt or a coffee mug or something that appeals to a doctor, you could throw in PhD, MD. You could throw in things that are related to doctor, like hospital-related keywords. Just trying to think off the top of my head. I'm not good at doing this off the top of my head. Anyway, you get my drift. So the second thing that people do is to use too few keywords. Now this, depending on what the keywords are, this actually can work. And I'm going to use an example from my own business. I created a design 2 years ago, actually, and it had 4 words in the title. Like, it was one of the very first designs that I ever created. 4 words in the title, and 3 of those words were gift coffee mug. So, I mean, really, really, really generic. So, the 4th word, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it was just a word, one word. And from that 4-word title on Amazon, I have sold 5 or 6 of that particular design, and they're all spaced out and they're sort of just random sales. But I hadn't even noticed it until I went back and looked through my business reports on Amazon, and I was like, oh my God, a 4-word title got me 5 or 6 sales. And the design was, I don't know, like a sentence that had like 8 words in it. But it was kind of funny and clever. Obviously, it appealed. But the point I'm trying to make is that those 4 words were precisely targeted to get the sales that the design got. Now, obviously, if I was going to recreate that design, I would probably put more than 4 keywords in there, because I know that there's other keywords related that could capture even more sales or get more eyes on the product, and so I could add those in there too. But usually people are not putting in too few keywords. They're usually putting in either the wrong keywords or they're not specific enough. That's the 2 mistakes that I see people doing all the time. So they're putting in unrelated keywords, or they're not specific enough keywords. So, they create a design that could be for doctors, but they'll just put doctor gift or something like that. Well, you got to get more specific than that, especially in the beginning. Like, what kind of doctor? What are they celebrating? Are they graduating from medical school? Are they doing this, that, or something else? Are they finishing their residency or their internship or whatever? I mean, those are all different things that people would be looking for a gift for a doctor for. They might be looking for a generic doctor gift, but it's a very competitive keyword. And so there's less chance of them finding your design if you have a very generic keyword with lots of competition. You guys getting this yet? More specific is probably better, especially in the beginning, particularly on Amazon, which is kind of where I have my bread and butter. I do make reasonably decent sales on Etsy, but I just don't spend a lot of time on Etsy because it's more time consuming, and I can get much more out of Amazon with less time. Time for me is important. So let's go through a little bit of a example here. So if you don't know what Merchant Words is kind of the standard product. It's a software product that people use for finding keywords on Amazon. I paid $9 for it, a month for it. It is a monthly subscription, and I got that deal. I think it's normally like $30 a month, but you know what? Honestly, you don't really need Merchant Words, but it's a nice thing to have, and $9 a month is just super cheap. So, I'm okay with spending $9 a month for something that I don't use very frequently. Now, if you're just starting out and you don't want to spend the money, what you can do is you can go to Amazon and just start typing keywords in on the search bar. And what will happen is that you'll start seeing searches that are related to those keywords. So actually, I'm going to do that right now, Amazon.com. And I'm going to show you an example. So, nurse. So what I'm seeing here, I'm seeing nurse gifts for women, nurse scissors, nurse clipboard, nurse gifts. So clearly, the most searched keyword is going to be at the top. I mean, maybe that wasn't clear to you, but that is how it works. The most commonly searched ones are at the top, and as you go down, get less specific, or get, down further in the pop-ups, you will see the less searched keywords. Now, Amazon also will bring up things that it thinks you like specifically. So if you're going to do this and you want to get a clean slate, open up an incognito window on Chrome, or if you're still, for some reason, using Internet Explorer, you can do that. So I'm going to type in nurse mug. So I'm seeing nurse mug, nurse gift, nurse coffee mug, nurse practitioner, nurse mugs cussing, nurse mugs for men, nurse mugs funny, nurse mugs personalized. And the last one I'm seeing is Nurse Mug, but did you die? So I'll be honest with you guys. Any one of those things is an extremely valuable potential keyword to use as a starting point. And you could sit here all day and just type in keywords on Amazon and get millions of ideas. So that's a really good way to do keyword research. Just sit on Amazon or Etsy and just type in keywords. Now, Etsy has a funky keyword system. It's different than Amazon. So I'm going to go to Etsy because Etsy has tags. And if you don't know what tags are basically little phrases that sort of attach to your thing, and it's like a keyword phrase connector. I don't know how to describe tags. It's a tag. So let's do a search here. Oh, I'm on my home screen, Etsy.com. All right, nurse. No. Okay, let's just go to the front page here. So I'm going to type in nurse mug. So doing research on Etsy is a great idea to get good ideas. However, you got to be careful not to just copy what you see here, because the sellers on Etsy, they do look at other sellers, and if you just copy someone else's product, all you're going to do is have people mad at you, and you're not going to, like, why would you do that? Like, that's just kind of a douchey thing to do, to copy someone else's idea. Now, taking the phrase and making a completely different design from it is fantastic, but don't just copy someone's design. So here's what I'm seeing for nurse mug on the front page of Etsy. So I am seeing funny nurse mug coffee mug. So I'm going to ignore the top 3 results because they're ads, and I'm going to focus on, so what I've got here is personalized nurse coffee mug. So my last episode, I talked all about personalized mugs. Why not make a personalized nurse coffee mug? So here's one, nurse graduation gift, nurse mug. And it's personalized. Oh, maybe not. No, it is not. The next result here is personalized nurse gift mug. So the next few, there's a lot of personalized mugs here. Oh, there's reasons to be a nurse mug. That's funny. Reasons to be a nurse mug, nurse gift coffee mug, nurse coffee mug. Anyway, Etsy, you can duplicate keywords and it's not a big deal. Amazon, duplicating keywords is useless. So just keep in mind the difference between Etsy and Amazon. Amazon, there's no reason to duplicate a keyword for any reason, unless it makes sense in the context of the phrase, but just try not to do it because it doesn't do anything for you. So RN gifts, nurse appreciation, nurse graduation, and nurse personalized. So if I was going to make a coffee mug for a nurse, this is what I would make. And this is the Amazon title that I would use. I would use funny nurse graduation RN coffee mug. And if I had personalization, I'd put personalized custom coffee mug. And that's probably it. That's all I would do. I can't think of any other, unless you had a gift that was specific for an ER nurse. You could put ER, emergency room nurse, but I wouldn't do anything else beyond that. So don't put like hospital nurse or something stupid like that, because that's not something that people are searching for. You know, nurses don't only work in a hospital, and it's just probably not a keyword that people are actually searching for. All right, so that's just a short example. Man, like, it just in that probably 10 minutes of the last 10 minutes of this episode, I found one niche that you guys could start in, create 2 or 3 products, and I gave you a blueprint for finding new keywords. You don't have to pay for any merchant words or anything like that. You can just go on the front page of Amazon and Etsy and just see what keywords are being used by the people that are already selling items. So there's some free tips for you guys. So that is it for today. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next episode because I don't usually think that far in advance. But there are definitely lots of good things to talk about. I am still looking for people who want to talk about success that they are having in print on demand or selling online. I'd love to have you as a guest. You don't even have to appear, you don't even have to have your voice here. I did have somebody that said they would answer questions, but only by text. So that's something that could work too. And I'll just read the question and the answer out here on the podcast. And I will be your voice so that you don't have to have your baritone, delicious, James Brown sounding voice here. You can have my squeaky voice instead, if that's what you really want. But again, I am looking for guests. If you want to be a guest on the show, please email me, adam@evercardia.com, or leave a comment on the show page you can't comment on the iTunes page, but send me a message. Questions, comments, anything. Just send me messages. Tell me how good my hair looks, even though you can't see it. So that's it for today, guys. Hopefully you're all looking forward to summer. I am. But you know what? Don't take summer off. Get out there and take some action, guys. And we'll talk to you next week. Cheers.